is going to go through the harsh realities of running ads, right? And I want to make sure that this is very clear to you guys because everyone else that you watch when you're learning about paid ads, they're going to try to sell you something that paid ads is the dream job because they're trying to sell you a course or an agency. Well, I'm not trying to do any of that. I don't sell courses and I don't have an agency. So I want you guys to really understand the game that you're playing with ads because it's not as easy as what most people think. Now, I don't want this video to deter you from running ads. Running ads can be the lifeblood of your business, but you have to understand what the game is and what you are getting into before you actually do it, right? So I'm going to be going through like my exact data of what we are trying to crack the code on. Right. I'm not going to show you some like wannabe screenshots or anything like that. This is like reality of what we're dealing with right now. So we're trying to run workshops and webinars, which if you're anywhere online learning about the ad space, they're everywhere, right? Everyone's telling you to do this, do this, do that. But I want to show you what's actually going on behind the scenes from what we're experiencing, right? And in our experience, I've ran ads for about 6, 7 years. So not all for the same offer. We've done e-commerce brands, we've done different things like that. But in my experience, the two reasons why ads work is this. One, you have a massive following and you're trying to convert your followers into paid customers. Or number two, you're willing to spend a decent amount of money and a lot of time testing it in order to grow your business. Those are really the only two reasons that ads work. And most of you guys that are watching, including myself, I don't have some massive following and I'm trying to convert it. So I have to go the testing route and the spending money route. So I want to show you guys something. I'm going to share my screen real quick. And you're going to see right here, this is what we're doing, right? This is the exact Miro board that I'm updating every single day about how to run these ads for the workshop, right? Because when you're listening to a lot of people online, running a workshop in of itself is kind of simple, right? Run ads to a landing page to get people to register for a workshop, present on the workshop, and sell, right? And just like some of my past streams, if you guys have been watching, business is not super complex. It's pretty simple, but it's very hard to do. So I'm going to go through this a little bit where if you've watched any of my other content, you know that my goal is to break things down into levers, right? What are the categories that I need to focus on? So for the workshop model, one was traffic, right? How much traffic could we get? We needed people to register. Opt-in, right? So that's the actual funnel page, how to get more people that see the page to opt in. Then we have show up rate, which is one of the most important ones for this. You want to get people to actually show up for your event. Then you have the presentation, and then you have the sales, right? Each one of these are different levers that we're trying to push and move in order to get what our goals are, right? And our goals are listed up here on the top, right? For our target cost per lead is about $7. Our target opt-in is 20 to 25%. Our target show up rate is about 30%. All of these are pretty much industry average, right? But if you look at the entire Miro board that we have here, you realize it's a lot more complex and a lot more variables to test than what most people are going to show you online. And that's exactly what I want to break down here of what we've actually experienced, right? So running workshop ads is very, very different from running e-commerce, right? If you're selling a physical product or you're selling a digital product, you just send them straight to the checkout page, right? The ad is supposed to get them to convert. But when you're selling more higher ticket offers, like for ours, we sell a done for you build. So we basically build a business in a box, everything from websites to your CRM to your pipeline. And then we build an AI employee to help run it all. That's our offer, right? So it's more of a done for you, but it's software backed. So if you're selling more of like a low ticket item, like maybe socks or something, you don't really need a workshop. But if you're selling anything usually above like $500, $1,000, the workshop to me is the best option when it's cracked, when you perfect the system, because doing a ton of one-on-one sales calls, especially in the beginning as an entrepreneur, gets very, very time consuming, and you have to be really good at sales. with a presentation, you can get 20, 30, 40 people to show up, and then you do one presentation, and that is what ultimately sells them, right? So, what I started with is trying to figure out the organization of these ads, right? So, I set it up very simple where I had a retargeting campaign, right? So, that's to retarget people that have visited the landing page or have engaged. Then I had specific because I wanted to test the interests, like I wanted to test the targeting. So I did AI interest, people that are interested in AI, and small business owners, right? And then I did broad targeting, which basically I allowed Meta to say, go find whoever you want to actually register for this workshop. And each one of these, you can see, like I've filmed now just about 100 different videos and creatives, right? Creatives in the ad world means video or post. So I filmed almost 100, and you can see here, only about 4 of them actually work. And out of these 4, really, there's only 2. So now you can start understanding the game that you're playing is there's a lot of testing. It's not just testing for who do you want to target. It's also testing once you find who you want to target, what's going to resonate with them. So it's a lot more variables than most people will tell you online. So we started running different creatives here. So we had like a car ad, we had a talking head, we had a gameplay, stuff like that. And we were just testing out all of these different videos. And out of all of these different videos that we are testing every week, and in a second, I'm going to show you the exact data, but really only 2 of them performed. So then I thought, okay, well, I need a new ad structure because I need to figure out who I'm actually targeting that's going to convert the best, right? So I set up a new ad organization structure where I had prospecting, broad, and retargeting. And in the prospecting, I set up 3 different ads, right? Or ad sets is what they're called in the ad world. So I was targeting people that were interested in AI, small business owners, and a lookalike audience, right? So lookalike audience is a fancy ad term. Again, all it means is looking like the audience that have already done something. So you can build this off customer base, you can build this off social media engagement, you can build this off basically whatever you want. So that's what we were running ads to. And this structure actually proved to be really good. So let me go ahead and break down the actual stats. I want to show you the exact stats that we have. And starting with week 1, this was the first week that we ran the campaigns to do this, right? So in week 1, here was some of our observations, right? 2 out of the 10 creatives or posts, fancy ad term again, 2 out of the 10 actually performed. And it was these 2 right here. So we titled them our own way, 1A, gameplay 1A. And this kept top performers while we refilmed all of the ads that didn't, right? Our average cost per lead was about $16 on cold market. It's not great, it's not bad. For workshop, you're looking at like 7 to 10 is kind of the goal, so a little bit higher. And then the problem was that we had a very good first run, but the budget was getting eaten up by creatives that weren't performing, right? And then the ad performing, the AI interest was very good, which there is a massive disclaimer. If you stay here in just like 20 minutes, I'm going to show you what was the biggest downfall of all this. But then we had the automations, right, to get people to show up. So we got about a 25% show up rate, which is not bad, slightly below average, but that's pretty good for our first run at things, right? And then we had the funnel, which was converting at 24%. This is like phenomenal for cold audience to have 24% of the people that saw the page actually opt in to join the workshop, right? And then we had some questions that I asked is, why are we tracking recall? There was different things. And I want to put the disclaimer out there. While we were doing this first one, I went and spent $3,000 a month on an ad agency. And that's really why I'm filming this video, because the ad agency promised the world to me. They were like, okay, we're going to get you 80 new signups a month. We're going to get you all this stuff. So I was super excited. The reality didn't work out like that, right? So we're running ads exclusively on Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. We spent about $533 total on the ads. We spent on AI interest was about a $17 cost per lead, small business 11, all this stuff, right? Creatives that performed, ad sets that performed. I'm not going to bore you guys with just all this data. If you really want to like dive into it, just pause the video once it's published. I know we're on a live stream, but once it published, go back and you can see this document. And then the three things that we wanted to change is one, we wanted to create new ads, right? Then we wanted to change the workshop flow and structure. I didn't feel like the presentation was that good when I did it the first time, which it was the first time. It probably isn't going to be good anyway. And then we wanted to add proof into the reminders to help increase the show ups. So this was our edits, right? So we changed the workshop, we changed the rolling close, we did the slide requirements, and then we did the ad system. So I went and refilmed a ton of new ads. And then we added proof to the reminders. So that was all good, right? So then when we go back into the Miro board, right? So let me share back that screen of what we have here. When we go back into this and you're looking at it, well, it's really cool because now we had the baseline, right? So we had our average was $16.61 for about $1,000 spent. And to remind you, I was also paying 3 grand a month on top of this to the ad agency, which a lot of people don't tell you. You still have to pay for all the ads and the ad agency. So you've got to make sure that they're good, which we didn't have as great of an experience with that, right? And then we did the funnel. So the funnel was doing great. It opted in good. So we didn't change anything here. All we focused on was the presentation, the show up, and getting a lower cost per lead. That was the only thing we focused on for week 1. Then we had week 2. So let me go through this data real quick. I'm going to stop sharing here, share with you week 2, which week 2 was all right, right? So we refilmed the ads, we republished it. We did more interest-based targeting. So we were targeting more people, really focusing on this AI interest, which came to crush us towards week 3 and week 4. So we spent, some different money. So our cost per lead was about 16 the first week. It was 19 the second week. So it increased by about $2. Not great. Our total spent was slightly lower. Our funnel opt-in decreased. Our leads decreased. Our show up rate decreased. And our, the people that stayed until the end increased, right? And at this point, we still had not sold anything. We spend, now it's at 2,000 plus the other 3,000. We spent about 5 grand on this and we still didn't close anybody. So that's the game of ads that you have to understand is you're going to go through a testing phase, especially in the beginning where you're not making money, but you're spending money every single day to test out these variables. And that is very difficult inside of this world, right? Like the analogy that I can throw to this, and let me just focus in on myself with this, right? So the analogy is this. When you're starting off with ads, it's like playing darts in a completely blacked out room, playing darts at night, right? You know the goal, you know that you want to hit a bullseye, but you don't know where the board is and you don't know how many darts it's going to take to actually hit it. That's what ads are like in the beginning because you don't know what creative is going to work. You don't know what's going to stick. You don't know what audience you're going to target. You don't know, how much money you're willing to spend. So all of these things are like kind of tormenting you in the head when you're running ads. And it's a very difficult game, right? But now let me go back to this where I'm going to show you what happened because this week really kind of set up stuff, right? After this week, I ended up firing the ad agency. I said, you know what? I don't want to spend 3 grand a month at the point that you haven't proven results. I want to go take a shot at this myself, right? Because at the end of the day, even if I got lower numbers, and this was my justification, if I got lower numbers, but I no longer had to go spend 3 grand, well, I'm at least still saving money, right? So then I went and rebuilt basically everything. I started targeting different people. And then I started using Facebook lead forms, which one of my buddies was using that got super low cost per lead. So when we were running it, we actually got like $3 cost per lead, which was phenomenal, right? It was really, really good. Here was the problem. So let me go into week 4 because week 3, after I redid everything and built it, it only had about 2 days until the workshop. So we actually only got like 6 people signed up and nobody showed up. So imagine me, like I'm sitting on here, I just fired my ad agency. I was like, cool, I'm going to start working on this. And then the first time I did it, 6 people registered and nobody showed up. And I was sitting on this Zoom room and waiting. 6 o'clock was when we did it. 6:01, nobody's on the room. 6:02, nobody's on the room. 6:03. These are the longest minutes in the world when you're sitting and nobody's showing up, right? So it kept stacking, kept stacking, kept stacking. I'm like, man, I screwed up this whole thing, right? So that was the week 3. Now, when we go into week 4, here's where it gets a little bit crazy because our overview, right? So this was the overview. Let me split this screen back up here so you can see me as well. Now, we had 68 people register. This was the most people we've ever had register for a workshop at this point, right? 33 from the landing page. So this was our regular funnel. And then 26 from the Facebook lead form. And almost all of them were coming from AI interest, which I know I've mentioned a couple times. Stay with me here, right? So 12 total showed up. So out of 68 registrants, 12 people actually showed up, which was 17%. Not bad, not terrible, just about average. But here's where the numbers get crazy. The people from the lead form, only 2 out of 26 showed up. Below 1% actually showed up to the call from Facebook lead forms. But we are getting $3 cost per lead. So I thought I was over the moon, right? I was spending $3 for a lead. The problem is they didn't show up. But the people where I added a little bit more friction, they had to go to the landing page. Those people showed up at a 30% rate. So right at average, 10 out of the 33. 12 stayed until the pitch, 8 closed, and we finally closed a deal, right? They signed up for our $297 software plan, right? But here's where it gets absolutely crazy. And this is what made the realization and the reason why I wanted to film this video today. Because when we were targeting people that were interested in AI, we were getting about $2 leads, which is really, really good. But those people were not our buyers. These people were like hobbyists. They were interested in AI. But out of the 12 people that showed up, only 2 of them actually owned a business. And out of those 2, only one of them was even established. The other one was kind of just starting out. And the one that was established was actually selling AI tools. So now when I'm thinking about this, when I'm giving this pitch, well, no wonder nobody bought. They're not business owners. We don't sell to people that don't own a business. We want people that are about 10 to 25 grand a month in revenue. They reached a plateau. They're over, charged by agencies. That's our ideal market. But I was so focused on getting the lowest cost per lead that I was blinded by who actually was showing up. So that's something that I really want to hone in on, because if you just focus on getting the cheapest leads, just as a disclaimer, they're going to be cheap. They're not going to be high intent. Below 1% actually showed up. So now we're spending all this money on people that don't even show up. And that's a waste of money. That's just as bad as if nobody even registered, as if they don't show up, right? So the AI interest audience ruined the quality for our workshop, right? 90% from lead forms came from this AI interest, and these people were not business owners. They registered for the workshop, but then when they got the automations and the reminders, well, all the automations were geared towards business owners. So we had a huge drop off. No wonder nobody showed up. Would you show up if you registered, you didn't own a business, you just wanted to learn about AI, and now I'm sending you reminders saying this is for small businesses? No, you wouldn't show up, right? So now our landing page still converted really high. It was 33% opt-in. Our automation observations was that it was pretty good, right? All of our other variables that you saw in the Miro board at the beginning were doing good, but the audience was bad. So that's just like the analogy I used with throwing darts at a dartboard at night, right? You don't know where the board is. You don't know who you want to target. So yesterday, this is where a lot of realizations came in was, okay, I'm getting good leads. or I'm getting cheap leads rather, but none of them are my qualified buyers. So am I willing to spend more money for people that are more qualified? So these are all questions, and I know this video is a little bit more data oriented than I usually do. But I really just wanted to hone in this point because this is the game that you're getting into if you decide to run ads for your business. And you have to understand the game that you're trying to play. Because if you go into this thinking, man, I'm going to be rich by tomorrow, I'm going to dump 2 grand into ads and it's going to be phenomenal, and it doesn't happen, well, now you're going to quit. And you shouldn't quit because ads can do really good things if you're willing to go through the testing, right? So now if we go back here, these were our observations, right? So what did we change? We eliminated the AI interest completely. We took it out of our targeting completely. And then I rebuilt the entire ad account for the fourth time, right? Because now I wanted something that I could use for a long period of time. We rewrote every single ad. We rewrote all of the copy. We refilmed multiple ads. We rebuilt the entire targeting system. We rewrote the landing page. We corrected all of our pixel events that weren't correct. And we realized that we had 3 big challenges. Previously, the targeting was poison, right? The people that were showing up were never going to buy. So now I was wasting my time pitching something that nobody was going to buy. And then the lead form volume was misleading, right? We got the most registrants that we've ever got. And the workshop was the worst that we ever had. So you see where you play these games in your head that just really don't make sense, right? So the show up rate damaged the wrong avatar who we were trying to target. So what we started changing is we started, doing different audiences, tracking different things, making sure that these were qualified people that were showing. And the result is like so far. And next week I'll give a rundown of week 5. But what we noticed was, okay, well, now we're getting a higher cost per lead, but now the people that are coming in are qualified. So the question I had to ask was, am I willing to spend more money to get higher quality people, even at lower quantity? Some people would say no. Some people would say yes. If you're running an agency or you're running a course that you're selling for ads, they're going to tell you quantity is better because they just want vanity metrics. And those same people are the ones that flex revenue. Hey, I made $1 million in revenue. Well, what was your profit? How much actually went into your bank account? Because I guarantee you it wasn't 1 million, right? So the same people that flex vanity metrics to sell you a course are the same agencies that'll say getting more leads, even if they're not qualified, is beneficial, right? So be careful before you jump into that. So let me go back through now that we have this action plan that we're doing. Well, now we go back to this system and we change everything, right? So now I'm at my 4th iteration of how the ad account should work. And this is where we're going to get a little bit more technical because this is the way that I've set up that I've seen work, right? This is the same way. So we started it out. We had one campaign that was testing, right? This was to test videos and ads. It wasn't to test the audience, right? So we set it up to target broad. We said, Meta, you go find people that'll resonate with this and we'll give you the creatives. And we added 3 videos in here, right? So these are newly filmed. We had a car. This was our control. We had a new test video and we had a still graphic, right? So now we're learning in this which of these videos and still graphics are going to perform the best. And then we set up a scaling campaign. Now, this is where we're testing audience because we know that the creatives are very good because these are the ones that perform the best over the past month, right? So we know these videos are good and they resonate, but now we want to figure out who they resonate with the most. So we changed it where instead of targeting people that were interested in AI, now we're targeting business operators, right? People that are actually running a business, not people that want to, not people that are trying to, people that are actually running a business. And then we started targeting purchase intent, right? People that intend to buy things. So we did business page admins, right? So these are people that run a business page. Usually, if you run a business page, you at least have a business or have an offer to sell, right? And then we did high signal and broad. So then we targeted job titles like founder, CEO, partner, co owner, entrepreneur, self employed. And now we're getting data because we know these two work, which audience is going to be the best. And now every lead that we're getting is actually going to be highly qualified for this business, right? So now that you kind of see all of these different variables, I want to bring it back to really the core concept of why I filmed this video today. You need to understand the reality of running ads. You need to understand what you are getting into before you just start spending money. Because a lot of people that are trying to sell you a course or trying to sell you an agency for them to run your ads, well, they're going to try to show you vanity metrics. They're going to try to say, hey, I'm going to get you leads. Well, anybody can get leads. I just showed it right there. I was getting $3 leads. Phenomenal. But they weren't qualified. They were never going to buy my product. So what good is having information if they're not actually going to do anything? Now my CRM is filled with people that are going to ghost me and never reach back out. But as an ad agency, if I came into you and I said, hey, look, I'm going to run your ads, I can get you $3 leads. I guarantee you I could. Doesn't mean you're going to make any money. Same people with courses that are going to try to sell you an ads course. Well, they're going to they don't know your business like you do. That was the biggest problem and why we got rid of our old ad agency is because they didn't know the business like I did. I know who I want as a customer, but they were trying to just put all of these different things in place to lower the cost per lead, the vanity metric, just to prove that they were doing a good job. They're in the game of retaining you, and the only way you retain them is if you're doing well on ads. So I want to ring this in because that is the reality. Like I said in the beginning, ads only work for two reasons. One, you have a big audience, a lot of followers that you're trying to convert into a paid customer. Or two, you're willing to go through the time and the money to test out all the variables until it works. Those are the only two reasons. And most business owners always have to choose the latter. They have to be the ones that are willing to test it. But let me give you some inspiration on ads as well. Because most of what you're seeing seems like, man, I don't want to do ads. I shouldn't do ads. I'm not willing to spend this money. But in reality, ads are awesome. Ads are the lifeblood of your business. It's how you grow and scale with speed. But it just doesn't happen immediately. It's delayed, right? And the problem with having it delayed is most people stop right before they're at that breakthrough, right? They stop right before their ads learn and it scales up. But just know what game you're trying to play. If you want quick money, ads may not be the route. It may make you some quick money if you're really good or have it, but especially if you've never done ads before, this is not a quick money. This is not a get rich quick thing that most people will tell you. And then if your goal is to just grow a sustainable business, go watch the other stream that I did because I talked about how to build a sustainable business. When you focus on high quality delivery and retention, you'll always have customers because anybody you sell is going to go tell a friend. And that's compounding, right? That's not ads. Ads is for speed after you go through the testing. But you have to build a quality business, period. Ads are one mechanism that you can do to grow your business. There's a million others. There's a million ways to grow your business, a million products you can sell, a million ways to retain clients. But just focus on building for the long term. Increase the amount of time that you're willing to take, right? It's not a 1 week you're going to be rich type game. Business is infinite, right? There's no stopping point. And if you realize that, then now going through these testings makes it a little bit more manageable. So I hope this video was informative to you guys of the real reality of running ads. And I know this was a lot of data and a lot of analytics, not like most of my videos I film, but I just wanted to show you what's really happening currently for me and my business. Like this isn't something I just pulled together or stitched together from somebody else. This is what I'm dealing with right now. So keep that in the back of your head and watch more of these videos. If you liked this content, this is what this channel is filled with: reality of business and showing you the actual steps it takes. No course, no $10,000 mastermind, no nothing. The only thing I sell is a software, right? And a done for you package. If you want us to basically build your business from scratch, we do that. That's our business model. But it's not knowledge, it's not courses, it's not anything like that, right? So that's the game. Be careful with who you listen to, be careful of what you do, and be willing to play for a long period of time, and you'll see success. We'll see you on the next stream. Like, comment, subscribe, and make sure to share your thoughts.